Good morning, my name is Andreas. I'm the founder of zCasting 3000. Put your video projects into skillful hands. We create incredible corporate audio and video products. Today we're going to be answering a question that arose on Facebook. Here a friend asks how we structure our projects to streamline the production. And Nuno asks specifically how we name our stuff to make things logical to other people. In the process of creating project folders, I've tested many things for us. The first thing that I tried and I was really happy with was Digital Rebellion's post haste. I'd get back to this program in just a bit. Let me show you the other options as well. The other option was Client Folder Maker, which is a simpler program and has a different focus. And the other thing that I've checked out is Brett Terpstra's Planter. Now, this is the most complicated one because this one functions on the command line. And I understand that many people are not comfortable using the command line. So that means if you are not that type of person, this app is probably not for you. The idea is simple though. In either case, you have this little app that creates template folders containing a basic structure for you to start everything. The neat thing about post haste was that it can work with variables, and it can have variables inside the files as well. This was a little more complicated to use and it caused some problems with Final Cut Pro projects. But I loved the idea, so this was the first app that I used and it worked really well for quite a long time. But at the end it didn't just work out for us. It was a little too complicated, to be honest, and it didn't get updated with later versions of Final Cut Pro 10. We had some issues and I looked around for alternatives. So the next thing that I tried was Planter. Planter is a command line program, as I mentioned already, and I really liked the idea. But it didn't work out because if I am the only person who can use this app, it's not a good pick. So while these kind of command line apps are really cool and I'd love to use them, they are just not for zCasting 3000. So in the end, or at the moment I should say, we use Client Folder Maker. Client Folder Maker is the same as the other three. It can also use variables, but only inside file names. As you can see here, you need to encase everything that you want to be variable inside curly brackets, and they will be replaced once you execute the template. And the way it works, you have this little menu bar app, and you just click its icon. It lists all the variables that you specify. You can type in something, create folder, and it's open for you. As you can see here, the same variable for the project name that I just entered into the window is being used not only for the folder itself, but also for the Final Cut Pro bundle that we start with. So essentially you create one template Final Cut Pro library and that will be copied into this folder. Let me show you that. The easiest way that I found to get to these template files is to just select one folder in the window, then right-click and choose Open Copy to Folder in Finder. And this opens the Finder window, obviously, and here you can place all the files. And once they are inside this one folder, they are available inside here. So essentially, you just click Copy to, and here you get a list of everything that you have inside this folder. Now, you can see here that we have a Final Cut Pro bundle that's named ZC3 Video. And when I add this to the folder, I can just rename it. And when I use the same variable name, and once we execute the template, it will reuse the same thing that I entered into the window in 3 places now. So the folder will be called the same, as well as the file of the Final Cut Pro bundle, as well as a new Final Cut Pro bundle inside rendered movies. So this is essentially how it works. As you can also see, we have different templates for different things. So marketing things have a different template to start from. So for instance, a presentation has a different kind of template to start from, because in a presentation I need some kind of marketing materials as well as other things as well. We also have templates for estimates, social media previews, and my podcast, which is a whole different story, has a template by itself. Now, I don't want to get into the detail of Clam Folder Maker, I just want to show you that we use this thing and basically how we use it. Let me explain you the different folders and what we keep in them. First of all, we've got a rendered movies folder. Obviously, this is where we place everything that's gonna be exported. So if we render something, we usually render the file itself, plus we export a Final Cut Pro XML. It's also named with an underscore in front, because this way the Finder will always sort this particular folder always at the top. Inside assets, we keep things like fonts, logos, CI colors, color palettes, PDFs for CI colors, CI guidelines, that kind of stuff. So everything belonging to a certain project and to a certain client, we keep inside this folder. Sometimes this folder gets a little messy because we just get the things from our clients and they don't care how it's named, so we just put them in here and actually nobody actually looks at it. So let me close these 2 folders now. Documents is where it starts becoming interesting, because inside here we keep documents belonging to the project. So for instance, we keep the estimate in here, the contract, the invoice, documents the client has sent us, basically everything belonging to correspondence, and that is important to the project. You also see that I got a little text file here called notes. This is where I typically keep notes. Often I just keep notes of things to do. When I get a phone call with a client, this is where I keep, please check this for that color. Please check if we really use that font, and that kind of stuff, right? So there's also a script here. This is essentially a very, very, very basic script to start from, and it typically is really just a template. Then on the bottom we have our recording folder. This is where we keep everything that's created from the project. So if we go out and shoot some video, this is where the videos end up. If we create some motion projects, this is where they end up. Essentially everything that's created we keep in this folder. The project itself, the Final Cut Pro project itself, is created in a way that it leaves the files in place. It doesn't copy anything to the library file itself. The library file also has its backup folder set to a Dropbox folder. This makes it really, really easy to back up the backup and go back to the backup in case things go sour. No, I think you also are interested how we name things inside these folders. As I said, we usually don't touch the assets folder that much because there are typically not a whole lot of assets that we get. So it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to go into this folder and just micromanage everything, because that just takes too much time, to be honest. For documents and recording though, I typically keep things in a date format. So for instance, today we have the 31st of December. So it's New Year's Eve where I'm recording this. And then I just name the folder by, say, as you can see, it's really, really easy. We just keep everything in dated folders. This makes it really, really easy to just glance at this project, get a bird's eye view basically of what's going on here, where we started, or actually when we started, where we're at, and just, keep it a little more tidy. Now you're probably also interested to hear how we name our files once they are exported. These are really just example files, and the Final Cut Pro XMLs are just created from hand. They have 0 bytes, they contain nothing. This is just an example, okay? So as you can see here, we would create 2 files per export, and the neat thing that I'd like to do is I keep versions. I work with versions. This is the best solution that I've found to naming things, because I see people work with edits like one day, and then one day they start the project. Then they work on everything. They keep moving forward. They export the thing. The client looks at the thing. While the client looks at the thing, they continue to work, because this stuff all takes time, You know this all by yourself, right? And so while the client looks at the thing, you just continue your work, and you continue and you continue. And sometimes, really, really sometimes, the client says, well, I really like that edit you did there and here, and now it's all not looking that great. And it's not that easy to get back to this old version of the project. So basically what we do, we use the snapshot feature inside Final Cut Pro 10. We rename the project inside Final Cut Pro 10 and just number from 1 to however many versions we need to export. This also makes it really, really easy to mitigate errors like, this is the final version, the final version. No, this is the final version. No, this is the final version. This time I mean it, right? I just found that naming things final is never a good thing, because in case the client has some little minor change that you need to make, the final is not really the final, right? So you just go ahead and export the final. And that just doesn't make any sense to me. If you export it again, just name the file with a new version number. Just name it upwards. It's really, really, really simple. It's also simple to communicate with the client. In case they refer to an old version and say, hey, I really like this and that, you can always say, which version number are we talking about? And if you know the version number, you can just go back to that version, look at it, and see what they are talking about. In all the many years and in all the many client projects that we made, I just found this to be the easiest thing to do. Now I'm inside Final Cut Pro 10 to show you the project and how we manage the exports and the naming and that sort of stuff, because that was the basic question also, right? So first of all, the downside of using Client Folder Maker is it doesn't rename things inside your project. So Posthaste had some feature where it went ahead and parsed like the variables inside the files, but it doesn't do so anymore for Final Cut Pro buttons because it caused some problems. So you only need to do one thing, just rename the project. Now, as you can see here, I can show you the footage, but I've created a really basic project. And the way this file is named is it starts with version number 1. So let's say we want to export this file. I will go ahead, export it, obviously separately as an XML file. Then I will go ahead and create a snapshot. The command is Shift-Command-D. This creates a new snapshot. And now I'll leave it at this stage. I don't make any more adjustments. Only if I go ahead and start working on this again, I go to the project and rename it version 2. That's all. Now let's say I went ahead and made some changes. Also, keep in mind, once the project is open and you rename it, it will still have this project open, so it's a little more easy to work with. So let's say I did some adjustments. Now I exported this as well, and I create a snapshot. So basically, the workflow is like this. You do some edits, you export the movie, you export an XML, you take a snapshot. And when you start working on it again, just rename the project inside Final Cut Pro. So I hope this was helpful. Please check out our website at zCasting3000.com. We help your company to create better video and audio projects. Have fun, take care, until next time, bye.